Donna, I have been watching your social media channels from afar, and I am a big supporter, a big fan from the sidelines. And I am so happy that you've made the time in your busy schedule to jump onto the podcast today. So it's lovely to see you.
Oh, thank you so, so much. I really appreciate it. I'm blushing now. I don't even know why.
Well, that's all the compliments out the way. It's only downhill from here, Donna. Don't worry. We'll get that blush off your face
Cheers.
soon. But how's things? How's life?
Yeah, good. Busy. Loving it. I mean, I've only recently joined EXP, so I started the onboarding process probably in November last year, with the intention of setting up for January this year. But whilst I was onboarding, I was out kind of getting my properties, building up my portfolio. So yeah, I wanted a kind of a good start to the year. I feel I've got that. Obviously, I don't want to rest on my laurels, but I can still do better. So yeah, it's good, fantastic.
Well, it certainly looks like you're doing a great job from the outside looking in. No
Thank
complaints yet,
you.
anyway. It doesn't look. Um, so, Donna, just for the benefit, I always like to kind of start with a bit of a background, really. So, you've just
Yeah.
kind of alluded to the fact that you're really staging business. And by the way, I think that's amazing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of isolate this moment in time to have a conversation, because a lot of the time, we speak about celebrating high performance in property, and sometimes that can lean towards the more established agents because they've been here for longer, they've got more properties, they've made more money, they've got bigger pipelines. But I think it's great to give people a window into every part of the process in planning, starting, scaling, and then building a business. So I think it's a really exciting time for us to have this chat. But
Thank
if
you.
we can just touch on your pre-EXP days and your sort of background, the areas that you work and all that kind of stuff. For anyone who doesn't know you or isn't connected with you on social media, could you just give us an insight into who Donna Johnston is?
Oh, I don't know if I should. No, I'm only kidding. Um, so actually, the majority of my working life, I've actually worked for, high street banks. So really, that's probably where a lot of my experience was. I moved through a couple of banks and finished my last job within my last banking role was with HSBC, and I was in the mortgage department there, which is fantastic because it, goes hand in hand with what I'm doing now, kind of that understanding of the process. Then I just decided one day, as people do, that actually, as much as I've really enjoyed the variety of the different roles that I've had, I just want something different. So then I started working as a sales progressor for an outsourced sales progression company, and I loved it. I loved it. I really did. I had tremendous support from the owners of the company, because although I had an understanding of the property industry to a certain degree from a mortgage element, didn't really kind of know the bits and pieces. So gained a lot of experience. I was a team leader there, and then I became a training manager with the same company as well. And then again, I wanted a new challenge. It's a common theme in my life. So then I then I set up Johnston's property. Um, that was before I joined EXP. So I went out by myself, and I'll be honest, it was really tough. It was really, really hard, very difficult, very lonely as well, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to, join EXP. So when Matt approached me last year, I felt like it was a little bit too good to be true, which probably a lot of people think, but it really is as it was explained to me, which is perfect. And I think probably the biggest motivator for me moving across was, like I said, that loneliness of, am I doing this right? I started to really kind of second guess myself. I felt like I wasn't doing so well. And it really kind of, to a certain point, started to affect me a little bit, thinking, have I really made the right choice? Is this the right career move for me? And I'm here and I'm not looking back. And, all those experiences, all those kind of ups and downs, um, you know, make me hopefully a stronger, better person and, give me more experience, more knowledge. And that's it. I'm sure loads of people out there have, made mistakes, learned from them, applied it to new situations. And that's the whole point of growing, as a person, but also as a business as well. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, mate. And I think, there's something quite profound about that. I think that sometimes people view setbacks and mistakes, things not going right, failures, having to start over again, look at different options. They can view those little blips in time as full stops, and it's not the commas, because it takes you on to
Yeah.
the next. Do you know what I mean? The
Like
next
that.
transition and the
I'm going to
next
use
evolution.
I'm going to use that. I'm pinching that.
Well, there we go.
But
If you don't take anything else from the podcast today, at least you're not coming away empty-handed.
yeah.
But that's brilliant. And it's also interesting what you say, Donna, because I speak to a lot of agents that, some are years away from launching a business, some are right on the cusps of launching a business, some have already got a business and they're transitioning over to EXP. And of course, I deal with a lot of agents internally as well, sort of helping people grow their own agencies. And it's very rare that people come to us. I always say that you won't join for the collaboration in the community, but it will be a reason why you stay, because you do learn quite quickly when you're running a business that whilst there's a lot to be excited about and there's a lot to be said for it, it can be a lonely place. And that doesn't need to be because you need help all the time. If things are going great, you need someone to high five. If things aren't going great, you need somebody to put their arm around your shoulder. If you're struggling or you've got an issue, it's good to get advice and lean on people. And I think sometimes that's something that people can take for granted when they embark on the lonely path that is
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. So it's interesting that you came because of that. So was that something that, how did you observe that? Because I know you said that Matt approached you. Shout out Matthew Live. He's a
Yeah.
brilliant agent. He's helping a lot of people at the moment. Um, was that something that he was quick to communicate with you? Was that something you observed from looking at EXP on social media? Like what was it that kind of drew you in?
I think probably the relationship that I built with Matt, if I'm being honest. I just we had multiple conversations, and I'll be honest, I was a little hesitant because change is scary. We're human. We kind of like that comfort zone a little bit too much. And I just thought, okay, well, I've just kind of got the ball rolling here. Yes, although I'm finding it very difficult. It's not going to be difficult forever. So do I just continue on the path that I'm on, or do I give it a go? Um, I think as well, I spoke to a few other agents. I managed to get a couple of other agents, mobile numbers, sorry, which are around my area, and had a few chats with people. I started following them on social media. I better thinking, who is this girl? She is really stalking these people. And as you do, just observed their posts, like the camaraderie between other agents. And it was just really lovely. And it's just I like to be a part of that as well. So although I want to run my own business and to have my name above the door, selfishly,
Yeah, yeah, of
I
course.
do. Obviously, predominantly my career has been working in quite big corporate environments. So yeah, going from loads of people to just me, I was like, oh, it's yeah. So yeah, but Matt, again, hand on heart, shout out to him. He's been absolutely fantastic. I owe this all to him. He wasn't forceful in any way. He just spoke to me, as a human, just, kind of running through the benefits. We then jumped on a Zoom, and I just thought, what have I really got to lose? Nothing. And that's it. Sometimes I just jump into these things and I'm thinking, oh, but then I just make it work. You've got to,
Yeah, yeah,
I think sometimes if you think too much about an opportunity, you kind of talk yourself out of it as well. So I just think, right, just go, just do it. And then that was it. So yeah, it's been fantastic. And I love that, on the workplace, I can, put a question on there. I can, ring Lauren as well, like on the boarding team. I still come to her, God love her. I bet she's thinking, when will I get rid of this woman? No, but shout out to Lauren, thank you. I just know that if I have a question, um, even if it's just, I know the answer, but I just want a bit of reassurance about what best to do. I've got so many people that I've never met. And it's really
yeah,
quite weird, really.
yeah,
But
yeah,
everybody is just so, so helpful.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, I went to the chat in Manchester with you guys at the end of January, and I've connected with quite a lot of the people there as well. And it's just that sense of community. It's really second to none. I've never kind of like felt like this, about a place before, in a sense of we're not, going into an office every day and sitting and speaking to with each other directly, but I have all these colleagues, across England, and it's
Yeah.
just phenomenal. It's just really like a bit insane, really.
I know, absolutely, and well done for plugging into it. Like, because again, and I was probably in this boat as well for a little while, where I just thought, I've worked in property for years, I've run my own businesses, I know what I'm doing. Move out the way, I'm here to sell houses. No one can teach me anything, and that's the wrong mindset to have, because it's only when you open your mind and you start attending the events in Manchester, or you come to the weekly meetings on Friday morning, or you get involved on workplace, you read the threads, you watch the videos, you start to realize like how many gaps you have got in your knowledge, and how many little bits and
Mm,
pieces, little one-liners, little tweaks and tricks, little adjustments that you
yeah.
pick up that just help you improve your game and build a better business as well.
I feel like I've learned so much within these last, 3, 4 months, just from kind of watching other people, observing them, kind of reading what they're putting, not copying necessarily, because, I am my own person. So I want my personality to come through. But just minor little things I would never even kind of think that would make a difference, but I've got, make such a huge difference as well. Um, it's really phenomenal. I feel like, I'm kind of pitching here to people like EXP, but honestly, my experience has been wonderful, and I just can't shout about it enough. So
Oh, amazing, mate. Well, every day is a school day, I guess. When you
it's
stop learning, you stop evolving.
absolutely.
Right. So we kind of accidentally got into a SIF EXP sales pitch then. So to kind of take this
Yeah.
back to Donna Johnston, I'm keen because again, I know that you are early stages, so we can't take too much for granted. We're still building. There's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of success that you're yet to have. We still need to put those hard yards in, and we're by, no stretch of the imagination, a finished article. But what I do want to pick up on is after you transitioned over, so after
Hmm.
Matt did a lovely job and Lauren did a great job of getting you on your feet, and you actually started, you launch on day one. Fair enough, you've got a community around you, you've got people who are willing to help, but ultimately, it's you in your kitchen with a cup of coffee thinking, right, what next? So just
Yeah.
talk me through what those first couple of weeks looked like, and what was you up to? What activities, what avenues did you follow? How did you start to lay those early foundations?
So anybody that knows me knows that I'm a planner. I've got to have a plan in place. I can't just go, off the cuff. I've got to understand what I want my year to look like. So I thought, before I even reach out to kind of people, what do I want to, achieve in this year? So I sat and thought about it. I've put some goals which are challenging for sure, and if I achieve them, which I will certainly let you know next year, I'll be absolutely delighted about. Um, Not so easy enough to accomplish, but again, to kind of push myself. So I did that. I said, what do I deem as being a successful year for Donna Johnston? So after I thought about that, I kind of broke it down. What does that mean for me? How many properties do I need to get? What does my fee need to look like? How many do I need to look at completing within, this 12-month period? So that's really kind of the first maybe few days. I then started to kind of like I said, watch watch more and more agents and kind of see what they do. And one thing that I've taken, well, two things actually I've taken away for going out and getting the business, because I think for me in my area, there's quite a few corporate agents. There's a couple of other independents, and they do, really well. But it's like, right, how do I go out and how do I get these properties? What do I need to do? So um, I had 1,000 letters printed, to kind of go out and canvass areas. Um, One thing that I do need to do, and people are going to be like tutting at me, but it is my kind of aim to get started as soon as possible, is door knocking. Oh,
Mm.
I've had loads of people say how much success that they've had from it. Um, so I've been naughty. I've definitely not done that. I've done a lot of, kind of like posting of letters, putting them through doors, but I've just not seemed to got over that fear of going knock knock, hi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, so I've done that. Social media, again, that was another thing that I've kind of planned. Obviously, we get some help with regards to various things, but again, I'm starting to kind of come out and do a few more videos. I do need to step it up again, I know. So that again is another kind of challenge for me for the month of March. I've been quite fortunate as well that I have had people who have like been referred to me because of previous vendors that I've dealt with, which is always a fantastic feeling.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that I certainly can probably do more consistently, that I need to start doing. These are kind of really the early days with the support of EXP that I've got. So, the world's my oyster.
No, like quite literally it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And one thing I want to pick up on is what you said about the goal setting. So I love that you've got a plan, because I always say that it's surprising how many people come in to set up a business and they don't have that kind of macro view of what they want that business to look like. So people aren't thinking about, okay, in a year, 18 months, 2 years time, how many hours do I want to be working? What do I want my lifestyle to be? How much time do I need to spend with my children? What are my income expectations? Okay, how many units do I need to list? Therefore, how many do I need to sell to meet that goal? People don't really work through the math. So I think it's great that you've got some kind of footprint. It's very difficult to find a destination if you've not got a sat nav or a map and you don't know where you're going. So I think that just helps give you a little bit of a plan, and it kind of identifies a few of the basic steps that you need to be doing, not just month to month, but week to week, day to day, hour to hour, in order to keep you progressing towards that eventual goal. Not to go too heavy, but can you loosely share with me and speak it into existence what your plan is? So this time next year, if we was to do a revisit on this conversation, where do we want the Donna Johnston business to be?
Ooh. I think for me, I have a monetary goal of
Yeah.
where I want to be. Um, the thing is, you touch upon the point about how many hours do I want to work. I'm a bit of a workhorse, really. Which is a little sad and to my partner's dismay, but he's very supportive, bless him.
Good.
Um, we I will absolutely put the hours in. Like I say, I love working. It's just I feel like it's part of my identity. Like I am, known for being like, a hard worker, friends, family, etc. So putting in the hours to me isn't kind of
It's
or
not
a
an
measure
issue.
of how many hours I need to do. It's more the kind of financial goals. So there's various things that I want to achieve. For example, um, like I say, it does kind of circulate more around a monetary figure, which I don't really want to share because, but it's just more for me and my personal goals and objectives, But to me, as a measure, I want to be able to go on, 3 to 4 holidays a year. I want to look at upgrading my house and getting a project to work. Well, not my house, sorry, that's awful. Our house, and
Yeah,
having a
yeah.
project to do. So we have kind of common goals that me and my partner share that we need this amount of money to kind of
Of course.
achieve to do it. So sorry, I
Absolutely.
feel
And
like I've not answered your question there in a roundabout way. Have I been a bit of a
no, no.
politician?
Maybe a little bit, or an estate agent, whichever way you want to look at it. But I think you have answered the question in a roundabout way. And not everyone's comfortable speaking about money, and I understand that, and that's not an issue. But I think there's whatever your goals are, whether it's like a work-life balance thing, whether it's, spending
Mm,
more time with the family, the children, whether it's going on 3 or 4 holidays a
mm,
year, sometimes people get a bit embarrassed almost by admitting, oh, I'm money motivated. But whatever the actual underlying deep-rooted motivation is that you've got for you, for your partner, for your family, it all stems from achieving a financial outcome. Because if you don't achieve that, then none of the other
Yeah.
stuff,
Mhm.
the time with the children, investing into your relationships, pursuing
Mm.
passions and hobbies outside of work, going on holiday however many times a year, those things don't happen without achieving a amount of money. So as long as you're
Yeah.
crystal clear on where you want to take things and what you
Yeah.
need to do, you can quite literally pin back, okay, well, if I need to do, if I want to complete on 3 houses a month, I need to list 6 houses a month. If I want to list 6 houses a month, I need to send X amount of letters or knock on this amount of doors, which
Yeah.
means that I need to door knock X amount of people per day. Like, it's very easy to kind of like
Yeah.
work the maths back.
Yeah.
In terms of your strategies, then I know
Mm.
that you've been employed before in well, very much like a corporate world, I guess, in the
Yeah.
banking industry, and then you've come across to to the property world with your sales progression, and you was kind of working as a head of training. So I'm assuming that within those two roles, you've never really had to. It sounds very 2023 to say this, but you've never had to build a personal brand. You've never had to be on
No.
Facebook. You've never had to have a page. You've never had to pay too much attention to content. You've never had to get on camera. You've never had to do a podcast like this where you're speaking to some random scruffy guy with a beard about your business. So all of this is new. Tell me how, because I think you've picked up the mantle very well with social media.
Thank
Like
you.
that's yeah. One I've been, like I said at the start of the podcast, I've been watching from afar for a little while, and I think you're doing a brilliant job with your content, with your consistency. I've noticed videos are starting to creep in a lot with your property tours now. So I think for somebody who's never done that before, you've kind of embraced that challenge and completely ran with it. I'm interested to know what your view is with social media, how comfortable it was to get started with social media, and how are you finding incorporating this completely new strategy into your day-to-day life and processes?
Um, it's not easy to pick up. I mean, obviously, I've had like personal social media accounts, but that's like completely different. Like when
Totally
you have
different,
to,
yeah.
yeah, when you have to, you're not posting like, oh, they've had this for tea. You've got to actually post things that are relevant to your audience. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, it's easy. It's really not, because you're always, or I'm always trying to think, right, okay, if I was a buyer or if I was a vendor, what would I want to know? Um, I think for me, a bit because of my experience, especially with sales progression, um, yes, marketing the property and putting all that out on social media is absolutely a must. But I think one of my kind of personal objectives is as well to kind of break down the legal jargon which we so heavily have within this industry.
Yeah, we really do.
And what does that mean to a buyer or a vendor who may only move a few times within their life. What does it mean? What are searches? What does it mean to have an indemnity policy? What are building regulations? So it's to kind of as well educate people where best I can, so that they have a better understanding of the process ahead. Moving house is difficult. So, I want to try and, help where possible. Um, so thinking of the content, that's difficult. You think, because there's so much to kind of talk about. It's like, right, how do I actually funnel it down?
Mm.
Um, I post every day. I've started to kind of post a few more times a day. And like you said, videos are creeping in. I do need to do more. So I think, probably from next month, my challenge is one kind of, one video and something else in addition. So, that's probably the goal for next month. Um, Getting in front of the camera and actually doing a video. I literally have so many outtakes on my phone, which I'm going to do
Mhm.
like a compilation of
Mhm.
everything and just like post it and go, anybody that's worried about making a fool of themselves, don't
Yeah,
worry,
yeah, yeah.
it happens. Nothing's ever polished. But I think you just need to do it. Just do it and you will feel so much better. I'm like, oh, that's okay. That's
Yeah,
acceptable.
yeah.
The world can see that. Um, I think I could do better at social media. I think there's things that I would like to improve on, certainly. But um, I think that's been one of the messages that I've definitely picked up, that you need to utilize social media. So being me, I've gone in, 100%, but again, I've got a lot to learn. I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect. It's certainly not. There's other agents, within the AXP that I look at and I think, oh God, they have just nailed that. And that is beautiful, and really want to aspire to be like them. Like Claire Bilton, I love everything that she puts on. It's phenomenal. So I want to kind of be a bit like Claire, but
Yeah, yeah.
but my own kind of stance on things. So
Well,
but yeah,
well,
so
I mean, the thing is, like, there's success leaves clues, right? So if you see something working for one person or
yeah,
another person, or they've gathered a lot of momentum, or, we share things very openly, as you know, inside EXP. So someone will say, like, oh, I've made 150 grand this year from Facebook referrals. Like, you can see
mm,
that people are having success with it, and you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. It's just
no,
taking something that you know that fundamentally works and kind of putting the Donna Johnston or the Ben Moore spin on it. It's just
yeah,
kind of making it your own, and being consistent enough to and patient enough, I guess, to see the fruits come through. I think that it's interesting because no one ever perfect. I think it's a work in progress for everyone. Hopefully, this time next year, I'll be much better at doing podcasts than I am today. Hopefully next year I'll be better at doing videos than I am today. Like, things come with repetition. So I'm
yeah,
sure that you are far from the finished article, but I think what you have got, Donna, and this is like the important thing at this stage, you've got um you've ingrained new habits because you're sticking to your quite aggressive, post a day is what you've laid out for yourself. And although it feels quite forced sometimes, I'm sure you have moments where you're scratching your head thinking, oh, what do I speak about today? Is this boring? Is this going to land? Do people actually want to know this? Should I talk about this? Should I talk about that? Actually, I'm a bit tired. I've had a busy day. I've not had my tea yet. I might just leave Facebook for today and just come back and revisit it
yeah,
tomorrow. Like, we all have that sort of like negative inner dialogue, and we kind of question ourselves. But once you kind of push through that and you're like post, 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 and you get used to it and it becomes ingrained in your habits, what you get is momentum. And then when you've got momentum, it gets easier. And when you're posting more frequently, that's when the quality comes off of the back of it. It's just repetition. It's like
yeah.
if we I've not played tennis since I was 15. If we went for a game of tennis now, I'd struggle to probably get the ball over the net and land it in the right part of the court. But if we play every day for the next year, I'm going to be pretty proficient at tennis in 12 months' time. It's just, I guess
Absolutely.
it's just getting over that and kind of owning it. Um, in terms of your other strategies, you mentioned direct mail. You've not done any door knocking yet. You plan to, but you've printed out 1,000 letters. So I'm curious, has that started to show any green shoots of success? Yeah, is that, I know that you're early stages again, so we've still got a bit of time to play with, but have you seen any promising conversations off of the back of that?
Yeah, I've had a few. So like I said, I've only kind of just started to get them posted out. The handwritten envelopes, nice coloured envelopes so that they stand out. So I've had a few conversations like, more for kind of, we're not thinking of moving yet. We need to do X, Y, and Z first in the house. We want to kind of do this, do that. So yeah, it's starting to come through. So again, it's just that I need to keep on, make sure that I'm probably aiming for around, 30 letters a week, whether they be posted or whether I'm, popping them through somebody's door. That's kind of like my aim. I'm sure that will increase as time goes on. But yeah, I've had some nice conversations with people and, who've said, oh, I've kind of liked your approach within the letter, how you made it really personable to the property. Um, so yeah, like I said, probably, in 6 months' time, I will definitely be able to answer that question better. But for the short period of time to, have, I think two or three maybe. I'm like buzzing over that. So,
Oh,
I'm
good.
really easily excitable, as you can tell.
No, no, and that's the key thing. Like, because I think it's, a lot of the time, and I'm not saying this is you, but I just think a trait of salespeople generically is what for, I've done action A, and what's the result? Oh, I've not got this, I've not got that. This, and you kind of look at, okay, well, if I've not got instant success overnight, that didn't work. But you don't know if you're, don't know, you said you printed 1,000 letters out. If you've sent a couple of hundred of them and you've had 3 phone calls and no one's converted yet, that's 3 relationships that you've now got with 3 local people that
Yeah,
not just own property, but 3 local people who no doubt have friends, family, colleagues, people in their circle in that same market with similar houses that may need
yeah,
advice or help or an estate agent at some point over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18 months, 2 years, whatever period of time it's going to be. So I think sometimes we kind of like neglect like how big that is. You've got a
yeah,
conversation, someone's called back, they've had a chat with you, you've got the name, you've got the address, you've got the phone
yeah,
number. That's now a lead that could spiderweb if you play your cards right
yeah.
into nurturing that relationship to get forward in business. So we just don't truly know the impact of that
No,
over the course of your business growth,
no.
which is.
I think, yeah, we absolutely need to focus of kind of like the, the instance, the people coming to you for valuations, like, can you come in, and, that's obviously, they're kind of the ones that you need to be focusing on. But I also think it's the long term as well. So what are you doing today that's going to help your pipeline in maybe 6 months or so? And like I said, I'm sure, I can't say that everybody that I speak to, will come back to me, but even just getting my name out there, I think for me, within my area, that is probably going to be the biggest focus, because like I said, in my area, I've got quite established kind of corporate estate agents. So I just need to like let people see me for me, and how I, genuinely want to assist with them, moving home.
And within your conversations, I'm curious then, because you've kind of touched on the fact that you've got some well-established corporate companies, and I guess everyone listening to the podcast, like I've got some corporate companies that do decent numbers, and it
Yeah.
tends to be a theme across most markets. How are you setting yourself apart? So if somebody sits you in another room and says, "Oh, Donna, I got one of your letters in the lovely, beautiful, colourful envelope with a really neat handwriting that's nothing like Ben's because I've got doctor's handwriting. I'm considering going with corporate agent A." Like, what can you do in comparison? Like, what are you finding is conveying well as a point of difference with the conversions and the successes that you've had so far?
I think when I go into people's houses and I'm, sitting and speaking about, looking at them listing with me and selling their biggest asset, I don't even start with kind of what I do. I get to know the clients. So I want to understand kind of what's their motivation for moving, why is it so important, where are they looking, you know, what do they need to achieve, financially. To be fair, the first kind of like 45 minutes, I don't even kind of, I say, look, can we go and sit down and have a bit of a chat? I'd like to get to know you a bit better. I think my approach is definitely the more kind of personal touch and the customer service. Now, I know that's quite a broad term, customer service. What do we mean by that? But that means you have me from, 8 until 9 p.m., Monday through to Sunday. I've had lots of conversations with my vendors, really late at night saying, I'm really sorry, but I just need to speak to you about this. I genuinely just want to do well by my clients, as I'm sure most estate agents do. But I think having, working outside, the normal kind of office hours, weekends, and just really kind of understanding them as individuals, because that's really, is it a happy time that they're wanting to move? Is it not so? And being empathetic towards the situation. So I'd say just really getting to know the person. That's my
Yeah,
approach.
and like there's something very like um I don't want to say I think reassuringly simple about that message in that it's just having that emotional intelligence and having that time in your schedule to be able to invest 45 minutes of an hour appointment to get to know the client and understand what they're going through, their fears, what they're a bit apprehensive and a bit
Yeah.
anxious about. Like you said, is it a positive move if you could just find out that you're having triplets and you found your dream home and you put a deposit down and you're about to upsize, or have you
Yeah.
just, lost your husband of 50 years and,
Yeah.
the house is too, there's all sorts of different circumstances that go into it. But I know that from my personal experience, those appointments where you can just sit down and focus on getting to know each other and eating as many custard creams as possible in 45 minutes are the best appointments.
Yeah.
And I think that will make you stand out massively, because we all know, for better or worse, a lot of agents go in, show me around, great, what have you done? Okay, brill, I think it's probably worth 500. That is the way a lot of people present. And I think if you're willing to invest that time into people, they're willing to invest their trust into you. And there's something quite
Yeah. They're not, they're buying into me, that's kind of, and I want to show, and I kind of like talk about myself, not all the time, but kind of, to me, it's about building that relationship from that appointment. And like I said, I don't go in and look around the house to begin with. I'm like, oh, can we sit down and have a chat? I normally get a cup of tea. I love tea, by the way. So,
you're not on your own
um,
there.
yeah. And yeah, I just get to know them. I really do, because I think, we're going to be working together, for an extended period of time. There's going to be ups and downs, even if it's a joyous occasion as to why you're moving, there may be something that crops up, as we start to kind of go through the legal process of like, oh, we didn't quite expect this, things happen. And it's about them having the trust in me to be able to do my job. And I can only get that from building a relationship with them. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really feel I do anything. There's no like special kind of,
No,
thing
but
that I do. I just speak to them as they're humans,
there is though, because that's the magic, and that's the beauty of it. I think that the biggest USP that anyone, not just you, Donna, that anyone's got in any service driven business, the biggest USP is themselves, right? So if I said this before, if you've got a let's just hate HSBC, right? So you was there as like an account manager taking care of mortgages.
Mm.
Now you could be amazing at your job and really be empathetic towards the customer, be excited, ask good questions, sharing their story. That customer will get a mortgage from HSBC and be like, do you know what? HSBC are incredible. What a wonderful team they are. Your colleague next door could be very short, a bit tired, a bit grumpy, very black and white, very matter of fact, quick to get the client off the phone, bit rude maybe, and that customer could come away thinking HSBC, God, they're terrible. That was
Yeah.
that was a horrendous experience. I'm going to go to Halifax instead. And it's the same company, but two very different experiences based on the people, because people are the power of service-driven businesses. And I think that what you've got now is that ability to be Donna Johnston, to not put on a HSBC mask or to not be something that you're not, to just be authentically yourself and to share your value and your opinions and your insights and give your energy and take that time with a client in the living room. And whilst it feels like, oh, there's nothing magical or profound, like that is the magic, that you're just able to be yourself. And it's good to see that kind of conveying now into the market and into your numbers as well. One thing that I am curious to ask, I know that I got this, maybe you didn't get this, but I'm keen to ask, given that you're just kind of still in that early stage kind of process at the moment where you're building. Do you ever get people saying like, "Oh, Donna, I've not heard of you before. I've not seen you before. Like, what do people are people quite like never heard of you? What do you do, or like how do you find that whole I'm a startup? Like, is that
Yeah,
does,
yeah, I do get it. Obviously, naturally, there'll be objections that I have to overcome. Why should I go with you rather than so and so down the street? What's your difference? And I was like, it's me. You're getting me.
yeah.
And I have a bit of a joke. Probably have like a little bit of a joke and that. If it's appropriate to do so. Just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I it's really that, yeah, you've put a bit of a curveball in there then. I'm just really honest with them, like I said, like I said, it's just really me, and if they buy into me from that first appointment, then great. And if they don't feel that it quite fits, then that's okay as well. I'm
Of
not going to
course.
win everyone. But yeah, they do often say, kind of, I've not heard from you before, or heard of you before, or maybe not heard of EXP, although there are a
Yeah.
few EXP agents starting to come up within my area. So it's not as though it's a completely unknown brand. So um, maybe just a few have commented, but I then also kind of go into like the benefits of why it's great to have local EXP agents within the area as well. So yeah, I don't
As well,
really
though,
have a
I
kind of
think it's like
yeah.
no, 'cause I only asked the question because I was having a coaching call with a guy a couple of weeks back, and he was saying about he wants to get into the exclusive market. So he
Yeah.
wants to get into like the upper quartile effectively and exclusively deal with the higher value homes, the bigger fees, and he wants to kind of carve a niche in that area. And he's like, I just don't know how to do it because I've been running my business and I've never I've not had any big properties. Like my highest value is maybe a couple of 100,000. That's the pinnacle of
Mm.
what I've sold. And I was like, right, but how long you worked in property? It's like 14 years. I was like, so over 14 years, you've dealt with some higher value homes, have you? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, your career didn't start on day one. There's
Mm.
still hundreds and thousands of customers that you spoke to and dealt with and helped over the course of your career. There's still experience that you've got that's brought you into it. It's not as if you was born on day one when you put your, sort of Benmo powered by EXP flag in the sand. Like, so although people are like, oh, you're new, it's like, well, my venture's new, like in working
Yeah.
by myself, because I can see a gap in the market of how I think, the people
Mm.
of Blackpool need to be served, or the people of Preston, or the people of Barnsley need to be helped. But my career, like the waters run much deeper than that. So let me tell you a little bit about the experience that
Yeah.
I've got and how I can plug that gap. So I think sometimes people feel as though they're a bit wet behind the ears because it's a new business, but it's like it's not. You've got a whole lot of experience and a whole lot of skill and talent that you're able to invest into those clients and into those relationships.
I think I think from how I kind of really stumbled answering that question and how kind of polished you were, I'm just going to say that. So yeah, copied that. So thanks, Ben. So that's two things that I'm taking away today from the
Yeah,
podcast.
never go away empty-handed.
No,
No, it's
absolutely.
I've been on the receiving end as well myself. Don't know when I've been on podcasts and someone's like,
Yeah.
a call's being recorded and someone asks you a question and you're like, oh shit, I didn't
What do
imagine he
I
was going to ask
say?
me that. Yeah, so sorry to put you on the spot.
No, no,
Um,
no. It's fine. People are going to put me on the spot, and I've got to be able to deal with that. So, but I normally think of something. I think it just depends on how the conversation's gone as well as to what I will
yeah,
say. But I do speak about myself and the experience that I've had, and also the brand, and yeah. But I think probably for me is taking the time to get to know them for sure.
yeah. No, absolutely, and that's always time well invested, regardless of the
Yeah,
outcome. Like I say, you never know how deep those relationships are going
yeah,
to run and how that's going to, sort of improve your reputation and maybe even business and referrals over the
yeah.
years. But Donna, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you today. You took the
Thank
best
you.
part of an hour of what I know is going to be a very busy morning for you. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and let me put you on the spot a couple of times. So thank you for taking the time, mate. It was lovely to see you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for asking me on. I was very flattered. I was like, oh, I felt
Oh,
like
no.
I was saying to my other half, like, I need to have my hair washed. I need to be like polished and everything. It was like, just go on and answer the questions for God's sake.
Well, no, you did absolutely brilliant, mate. Thank you for coming on, and I certainly look forward to watching your little empire building and the Donna Johnston
Thank you.
brand gaining momentum over the course of the coming months. So, yeah, thanks for taking the time and pleasure to be in business with you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank
Have
you.
a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.